Here he is, Kevin Young.
Appreciate it, everyone. Oh, there we go. That's off to a good start. There we go. All right. Wow, this is exciting for me and my family. Just I don't know, when you're doing everything on the phone and you're not here to feel the energy and just feel this building. When you step foot in here, even my kids, that this place is going to be rocking. We're going to get this thing rolling. So. Excited to be here. I really want to first start by thanking a couple people, Brian and Tom, President Reese, Keith, that foursome. When we met, it got clear pretty quickly that this was going to be something that me and my wife were going to have to make an amazing decision to join, and it became obvious pretty quickly as we were talking about how amazing this place is. I'll speak to that a little bit more, but I really want to thank you four guys in particular as we went through the process. As President mentioned, I got a lot of my family here. I want to first thank my wife. She's been my rock for 13 years, and the coaching world is one that's not easy on families. It's not easy raising little ones, and we got 3 of them. Jude, Van, and Zoe have been right there with us for a good majority of it. So excited that they're here with us too. And then my mom and dad and all my siblings are here as well. So I'm one of 6, and even Aaron, what's up, dude? Haven't seen you. Even BYU alum, I might add. So he's here. Meg, hey, and a couple of my nieces too. So it's a really special day for our family, and we certainly don't take it lightly. So I also want to thank a few other people that have been really instrumental in me getting here. You know, James Jones and Matt Ishpugh with the Phoenix Suns, and Coach Vogel, who I'm working for now, Monty Williams, who's been a huge mentor of mine and is an outstanding guy. And funny enough, opened up every meeting with an opening prayer. True story for the last couple years in Phoenix, so pretty used to that. Brett Brown, who hired me in Philadelphia, is one of my greatest mentors. And a couple of people that got me to Utah in the first place, Brandon Anderson and Joe Brown. Coach Hunsaker at Utah Valley, who I worked for, and then so many other people that I can get to, but I definitely want to shout that group out. Where I really want to start this thing with is the players. Okay, you guys were the first ones I saw when I got into this building. The things that you guys were able to, I just told all of them so in the locker room, the things you guys were able to accomplish first year in the Big 12, absolutely remarkable. Cannot wait to have every one of you guys back in a BYU uniform and get to it. That was one, yes, let's give that up. And so that, make no mistake about it, that's my first priority is those guys, and I've already started building relationships with those guys, and we're going to take that part of it to a whole nother level. That's, if I've learned anything in the NBA, it's about, this whole thing is about relationships. I've been able to build some with some of the best players in the world. I'm currently still working with those guys and hoping to take them to somewhere they haven't been yet in this playoff run, but that's what it's all about, is those relationships. So those guys heard me talk about it a few minutes ago and look forward to that. With that being said, this is a new challenge for me. You know, I've been on a different side of basketball all of my career, and as I went through the process, getting to this decision, the excitement I had for the new challenge at hand in terms of transitioning to the college world, coming from the world I was in, got me extremely excited the more I started to wrap my head around what that looks like. And the thing that really moved the needle for me and my wife was the environment that we're going to be doing it in here at BYU, what this university stands for, what the mission of this university is. I'm a lifelong member of the church, so to be able to do what I love at the highest level from a career standpoint and blend that with my faith and being able to do it with my wife and my 3 little ones, that's why we came here, okay? That's why we came here. And that's really special. So on top of that, man, the thing that's blown me away is just the level of support from the athletic department, from the university, from many people, the resources that this place has, the fact that it's in the Big 12, the highest level of college basketball. There was a lot of things that played a role into me coming here, and that was one of the big ones. Just a couple other things I wanted to hit on before we move on to some of the questions was, I just want to make it clear that I coming from my background and talking to the players, you know, a lot of guys have, not a lot, all of them have ambition to play in the NBA, and I think with my background, this is an amazing place, has been for a long time. What I want to do to take it to the next level is make this place the best place in college basketball to prepare young men to play in the NBA, and I think with my background, I think we're going to be able to get that done, and I really look forward to doing that. What I've also learned really quickly is because of the history of this school and this program and what you guys have been able to accomplish long before I showed up, in addition with the resources, in addition to what the reputation of this school is, players want to play here. I've learned that quickly. Players want to play here, and coaches want to coach here. And I'm in the process now of putting together a staff, talking to a lot of different people. This is a very desirable place to be. I look forward to teaming up with a lot of elite people that we're going to get in here to do this thing together. And with that, let's go Cougs.
Mic check. At this time, we'll open things up for questions from the media for Coach Young. Please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll bring the microphone to you. Please stand, state your name and your news outlet.
Patrick and KSL. Was it a hard decision to come here knowing that maybe, at least for a temporary season or so, that, and when I say season, I don't mean literal, I mean a time of life, that the NBA dream of being a head coach might be put on hold?
No, not really. Once I realized how special this place was, you know, it became easier and easier, to be honest with you. And when I've known a lot of these guys, Tom and Brian, like he said, we go back some years. But when President Reese and Keith came down and we were talking, that moved the needle quite heavily for me, to be honest with you. As it relates to the NBA and the dream and so forth, truth be told, it's never actually really been my dream to be a head coach in the NBA. I love basketball. I love working with young players. I love developing players. I love building relationships. And again, to be able to do all those things at a place that has the family atmosphere that I so desired for my kids and my wife to be around, it actually became a really easy choice.
John Kuhn, Associated Press. You know, BYU's had a tradition the last couple of years of having kind of wide open offense, emphasis on three-point shooting. What's your philosophy in terms of offense and defense that you plan to bring to BYU? Yeah,
I mean, you know, I've been kind of my label, so to speak, in the NBA world has been, you know, I've run the offense of every team that I've been a part of, and a lot of that's been based around, you know, where the NBA shifted to, which is kind of how BYU has played over the last couple of years. Fast pace, getting up and down, spreading the floor out, you know, 5 out, read and react. So there's going to be a lot of that. You know, I was encouraging our guys to, you know, watch this series of the Suns and the T-Wolves to kind of take notes on how we're doing some things there. So there'll be some similarities with teams I've coached in the NBA for sure, but you know, I think I'm a modern thinker of the game. I want to push the envelope and analytically push the envelope, you know, with shooting threes, as you mentioned. And defensively, that's why I get really excited, because I've been able on the offensive side so long in the NBA. You know, you see how elite defenses guard certain things, and I've been able to put together a pretty extensive defensive background that, with the rules in college obviously being different, I look forward to being able to scheme and get creative here on that side of the ball as well.
Jared Lloyd, Daily Herald. The college game may be closer to the professional game than it's ever been at this point, but it's still different. What's it like? What do you think it's going to be like to adapt to the challenges of NIL, transfer portal, all of those elements that are a little different in the college world than they are in the NBA world?
Yeah, I mean, obviously what you just spoke on the last bit there is the biggest difference. The big thing for me there is, number one, great support here in terms of administration, how things are run here. That put me I was scared of that, to be honest with you, still am. But being able to rely on the people that are here, and then that's the huge priority to me with the staff, is having people that I can surround myself with that have an amazing grasp on that, but not just a grasp on it, that are elite at navigating those waters that can really help me do what I think I'm best at.
Hi, I'm Greg Wrubell. I'm your radio play-by-play guy. Once upon a time, you were part of a couple of college coaching staffs. What excites you most about being back in the college game generally and about being at BYU specifically?
So some of you guys might know some of my history, maybe not. It's not going to be the first time I've lived in the area. I coached for the Utah Flash, which was the old minor league of the Jazz. I lived in BYU housing and met my wife while she was a student at BYU. So I'm familiar with everything that's going on around here. And when I was doing that was during the Jimmers era here. I remember coming to a game here, I believe it was against Wake Forest, and that was my first time ever coming to a game here. And that was the most incredible atmosphere I'd been in at the college level. And so that's what excites me, the passion, it's crazy in here. I mean, the hype video had me hype. I was ready to get these guys running suicides and get to it right now. But yeah, it's just different. So for my kids, my family, my boys and my daughter Zoe, they haven't experienced that passion. Really, the NBA, you get it some, but not like it is here. So that's probably the thing that excites me the most, is just the overall passion that this place has.
Matt Baiamonte, KSL News Radio. How do you plan on juggling, finishing up with the Phoenix Suns, and getting started here at BYU?
Fantastic question. It's going to be a challenge, but I look forward to it because a lot of special things and relationships I have with those guys down at Phoenix. A couple of them I've been with for 4 years, and 2 wins away from winning an NBA championship with Book in particular. He's kind of the main guy left from that crew, so I'm invested in those guys. But in terms of how I plan on juggling, the staffing piece is huge. I've been working tirelessly on that. I've been on the phone more in the last 24 hours than I have. In fact, Kalani almost body slammed me because he's like, "Bro, I texted you. What's up?" And but he knows how it is. But that's my first, outside of these players, man, that's my first matter of business, is getting a staff put together that can hold the fort down. But at the same time, I think it's a really unique experience to tell the next chapter of BYU's story in terms of leveraging this playoff run that hopefully we're on, both for our players, for our fans, for recruits, for all that stuff. And I think it's a really separator, I believe.
Jake Hatch, the KSL Sports Zone. Building off Matt's question, how are you going to adapt to recruiting? Because you haven't had to do that in 15 years in the NBA.
Yep. It's what I'm learning is it's actually starting to trend to more similar to the way that the NBA works, as I'm learning the ins and outs of it. But again, leveraging relationships. Man, I've been coaching for almost 20 years. I know people at every level. It's been amazing to just kind of have a reminder of how big, my network actually is. And again, relationships in this business are of the utmost importance, both with the players and with the people that on the grassroots front, agents, coaches, the whole 9 yards. So my own personal network, but the staff piece is enormous there. I'm going to surround myself with people that's what they're elite at, and that's what's going to help us the most.
Darnell Dixon, Daily Herald. Can you take us through the timeline of when you became aware that the job was open, and then your interaction with Tom and Brian getting to this point?
That'd be a great movie, actually. Yeah. honestly, at this point, all the days are running together, so I don't remember exactly how things went down. But just to be transparent, I was making the interview circuit in the NBA on some head coaching fronts, and all the while we had a 6 or 7 day road trip with the Suns. So I would break off from them and go have meetings with executives and owners, and then fly back and meet the team and so forth. So I was already juggling a lot. And then right when I landed from one of those meetings, I had gotten a word of Coach Pope leaving to Kentucky, which tremendous opportunity for him. And shortly after that, my phone rang. And then just wildfire happened after that, to be honest with you. So I was juggling a lot, me and my wife. The tricky part, honestly, was her and I weren't together. I was on the road. We was in LA, Sac, Minnesota, and we were trying to make maybe arguably the biggest decision of our lives. And so I was trying to tell everyone involved, man, I just got to get home. I just got to get home to my wife. I got to look at her in the eyes, and we got to talk this thing through. And it's been a wild ride, but we obviously landed in an amazing place.
Coach Dave McCann from BYUtv and the Deseret News, congratulations and welcome. I want to follow up on that just a moment. Can you take us to that first conversation with your wife when you told her that BYU called and how that played out? And then also when you go back to the Suns, have they seen you with a cleanly shaven face? Will you have to reintroduce yourself?
So I'll start there. So I walked into practice. So we had practice this morning in Phoenix, so we're getting ready for the playoffs, as I keep saying. But no, they hadn't actually. So I walked in there, and all the guys were kind of looking at me, and we had a good laugh about it. But funny enough with that, my wife's been wanting me to shave for like 13 years. So the fact that here it is, so she's happy about that. But in terms of her first reaction, though, a lot of emotion, and I'm actually going to take you past her first emotion. We were in midair, actually. I was flying from Sac to go to Minnesota, actually, and she sent me a really long text that let me know, how she felt about everything that we had going on. That was really impactful for me, and she's as excited or more about this opportunity that I am, but she had a major, major influence on me coming here and what it would do for our family life. And she's amazing. Love you, babe. Thanks for everything. And Cougar Nation, I honestly wouldn't be here if she was in the mix. So.
Jay Drew, Deseret News. Kevin, when did you first decide that you wanted to be a coach, to be in this profession? And when did it first cross your mind the possibility existed that you could be the coach of BYU?
So I was really lucky as a player. I always had really good coaches. The whole reason I wanted to be a coach was my high school coach, Roger Quam, who I should have shouted out at the beginning. So, Coach, I apologize for that. But yeah, he's had probably he's been the most impactful person on my life as a youngster when I was in high school, and I wanted to be like him. He had a great life. He had 5 kids, and he coached basketball and taught PE every day. And I was like, that seems pretty cool. And so that's what I want. I wanted to be just like him. And then I played in college and jumped right into coaching, and one thing led to another that took me to a different path. But in terms of ever thinking I could be the coach at BYU, got connected with Brian and Tom about 4 or 5 years ago through a mutual connection when I was out in Philadelphia, and kind of some seeds were planted, and in the back of my mind I thought, maybe one day that's something that would happen, and never in a million years thought it would happen at the timeline that it did. But I'm a firm believer everything truly does happen for a reason, and it's amazing how everything lined up for it to happen right now.
All right, we have one more question for you, Coach.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome to BYU, Coach. My name is Olivia Allen, and I'm one of the co-ROC presidents for this upcoming year, and we are absolutely stoked that you are here. The ROC is considered by many to be the best student section in the nation. How excited are you to have them behind you this upcoming season?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question, and I look forward to getting to know all the students here on campus as well. But yeah, I'm thrilled about it. I'm thrilled about it for my kids, honestly, so they can feel what it's going to be like in here, how loud it's going to get in here, the passion that everybody has. You know, I've coached a couple players that have played at Duke that I hear maybe might rival the fans here. So I want to be able to rub it in those guys' faces about how much better this place is than that place. So.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's give one more round of applause for Coach Kevin Young.
Thank you.